Wonderful. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to What Makes Your Heart Sing, and welcome to my special guest today, Sue Steele, who is an amazing person that does so much for so many things for the community and working through U3A. So, I'd like to introduce Sue and give her the floor so she can have a chat to you about the amazing things she's been doing since her retirement. So, over to you, Sue.
Oh, I never did. I'm not sure that they're so amazing. What they do is they fill up my day. And I was just thinking, we do a lot of things with U3A, and Nivadita does some things with our U3A as well. I should say I'm from Bayside U3A, which is the Brighton, Hampton, Sandringham, Blackrock, Beaumaris area of Melbourne. And we're very fortunate. We have a lot of members and a lot of committed volunteers. One of my jobs is to organise all of the activities that U3A has. So I try and get as many volunteers as I can to run as many activities as they can. And sometimes, different times of the year, that takes up a lot of my week. Other times, it's not so difficult. But the thing that's occurred to me is that people who belong to U3A, but more especially people who volunteer at U3A, I think they're less likely to get dementia than other similar groups of people in the community that don't volunteer. I don't think as many volunteers get dementia, or I think it holds it off for a few years longer than if you just sit at home in your retirement not doing very much.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, what were you doing before you retired, Sue?
The last job I had, I was in IT support at Monash Uni, responsible for the technical sides of the corporate websites.
Wonderful. So we can call on you if we're stuck.
It's a bit out of date now, but everything that I did has completely changed, although some of the wonderful people are still there.
Yes. And what led you to U3A?
I saw an ad in the local paper in the middle of 2012. Bayside Council realised, I think, that they were one of the, if not the only municipality in Greater Melbourne that didn't have a U3A. So they put an ad in the paper and said, we're thinking of starting a U3A. We'd like to make a steering committee come along to a meeting at the council building. About 30 odd people did the first meeting, and we went along and had meetings for a few months. And then about 15 of those people formed the first committee, and the U3A was incorporated in October of 2012 and started our first classes in February 2013. And we were overwhelmed by both the support from people volunteering their time and from the number of people who wanted to join. We thought we had a day in early December 2012 when we had about 45 activities to advertise. We thought we might get 50 people through the door. We had over 400. We were sort of falling over ourselves trying to take money. It was wonderful, but it was wonderful chaos that day.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's a very minimal fee that people need to pay to join U3A, but they've got so much that they can access. Would you like to share some of the stuff that you
Yes.
offer?
Because U3A is all volunteer, our costs are what it might cost us for room hire, for equipment like computers, or for sometimes materials like we have weights, we have easels for art classes. We had to furnish one of the buildings, so we had to buy 100 odd chairs, some tables and things like that. But really, because our costs are so low, because all of our people are volunteers, our U3A charges $50 a year for membership. Some charge less than that, and some charge more. It depends how much your costs are. If you have to pay a lot of money to hire buildings, you might have to charge more. But
Yeah.
you won't find many that are more than $100 a year. Some of them might be 30, 50 or 60 is the most common. And we have, coming up for 2023, about 150 activities on our books so far.
Wow.
Languages, we've got French, things like French, Japanese, German, Italian. I don't think I've missed one there. Oh, Dutch and Latin. Our Dutch and Latin are less common. And so they draw people, in some cases, the Dutch class drew people originally from all over Melbourne because there weren't very many.
Wow.
We have exercise classes. We do almost every day of the week, there is a balance and strengthening class. They're some of our most popular exercise classes, as is yoga. Nivedita is volunteers on Friday mornings in school time to take a yoga class with us through Hampton RSL, which is a wonderful partnership. We
Yeah.
have Tai Chi, we have walking groups, we have a cinema group and a dinner group, we have history talks, games like Scrabble, 500, Bridge, Rummikub, if you are interested in that. And I take some classes in how to use iPads, and so do a couple of other people.
So it keeps you very busy.
There are
I know
many
you're
others there
always
I've
very
forgotten,
busy.
like the, pardon?
I say it keeps you very busy. You're always very busy.
It keeps me fairly busy. But I like computers, so I like at the back end playing with the database and making sure that what we've got is all mostly working.
Wonderful. Now, COVID would have made a difference because everybody's pretty much been online during that period. So that opened up Zoom and other platforms to many, many people that hadn't used it before. And how did that with bringing that into U3A, how did that affect U3A?
Well, in the first lot of lockdowns, we had as many classes as we could get onto Zoom or a couple of other online platforms. And it was a lifesaver for some of our members. More than half of our members, we believe, managed to use Zoom. We would have liked it to have been more, and I suspect over time it has become more. But it opened up opportunities for people to get together and chat. And we had over 80 of our activities were on Zoom at the peak. And some of them, a couple of them in particular, have stayed on Zoom. One of our balance and strengthening classes stayed on Zoom because in a room, we could only manage 25 participants. When we do it on Zoom, Helen can have as many participants as want to join in.
Wonderful.
Some days we have over 100.
Yes.
That has really made a difference, and they've been able to do that twice a week.
Yes, and people can do things at home, which is
Yes.
amazing for them.
Yes.
You know, they don't have to step out the door.
No, some of them don't. And so to get around some of the social, that class also has a social aspect. There's always 15 minutes of chat before the class begins, and they have a monthly get together in a park.
Yes.
Who want to attend. During the lockdowns, we also ran some extra Zoom sessions, which were just coffee and chats, small groups for people who really felt they needed just to have a chat. And I did one of those. We had 3 or 4 of those when it was running. And again, by the time when the lockdown was finished, we were able to get together each time just for a coffee or a lunch just before Christmas, which was really good because the
wonderful
finish. And we've got 3 classes, perhaps more next year, where the class runs on Zoom or you can sit in the hall. We call that a hybrid class.
Right.
And that's really good for people who, for whatever reason, don't want to travel, maybe for health reasons, maybe for other reasons. So I run one of those on a Tuesday, and I might have 12 to 15 people on Zoom and another dozen people in the room. And
right.
over time, that more people will come back.
Yes. I must say the social aspect is so important.
Yes.
Every time we have yoga, we have coffee after. We go down to the local bakery down the end of the street, and
you've got you're blessed for choice there with the places you go.
Absolutely. We had a lovely wind up of yoga on the Friday, and we went to a beautiful place, which was really just such a lovely place, and it was on the other side of Vinnie's op shop in Hampton Street. And it was really unusual. It was really beautiful, and you went in, the building was all done in white. It used to be I think it used to be a doctor's surgery or something like that, and the food was exquisite. We just loved it, and it wasn't pricey either, which was really nice.
Well, one of the things we are blessed for in Bayside is cafes, isn't it?
Yes.
We do have many. I was just thinking about that. Each of our main venues is very near a cafe. Brighton Courthouse, which is down there near Brighton.
That's right. That's right. I
There's
used
the
to
fabulous
teach
French
there.
cafe around the corner.
Yes, yeah,
Too.
we used to go there every
Yes.
time we had yoga.
And then at Beaumaris, of course, they're just a stone's throw from the concourse.
Absolutely, yes.
The cafes there.
Yes, it's very cosmopolitan where we are, it's
Yes.
really good.
I was one of the things that makes me happy. There are three sushi shops within walking distance of my house, and none of them are chains. They're all just locally owned businesses.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm very lucky because I'm in walking distance to Southland, which shopping centre, which is huge, walking
Yep.
distance to so many parks, where I am. It's lovely.
Yes, I know approximately where you are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's really lovely. It's really nice.
Well, I mean, I'm about 500 meters from the beach and 500 meters from the shops of the station.
Yes, wonderful. It's not long to walk to the beach. It's beautiful living near the beach, isn't it? That
Yes,
must make your heart sing every day as well.
it's part of the lifestyle. A friend was saying the other day that her mother had moved from Waverley to Sandringham,
Yeah.
To be nearer her family when she was getting old and frail. And she was horrified the first time she went to Coles. It must have been summer. And of course, people are there in their towels and their thongs and their bathers because it's really laid back.
Yes, yes, it's
I think
lovely.
that affects the whole year round.
Yeah,
It's laid back in the way people are.
yeah, yeah. So, are people who are not living in the area, can they still join if there's Zoom
Yes,
classes?
there's no residence requirement. We have people. We used to have members in Mornington, but I don't think that we do anymore.
Right.
But we have quite some distance away, and about 70% of our members live within Bayside, and
Right.
then 10 or 15% live very close around the edges, and the rest a bit further away.
Yes. So it's
With some of our Zoom activities.
yes, exactly. It's lovely
Yeah.
that the people that live miles away, even in other states, can actually join.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And there's so many things that you have on offer. I mean, I've seen the e-news, the newsletters, and there's just lists and lists of things that people can do. They can never have to complain about being bored,
It's extraordinary, and there are so many activities. I'm sure it's similar in other areas, but there are so many activities in Bayside, not just the U3A, that
Yeah.
old people could be involved in.
Yeah.
It's a life activities group, which is a similar but not identical group to U3A. And again, I think it costs about $30 a year to join the life activities group.
Right.
They have table tennis that I know of. They have lots of walking groups and cycling groups.
Yeah, my husband's in a walking group. Yeah.
Yes. And some of those are really good because it's just, let's say they meet at Black Rock Clock. So you meet at Black Rock Clock at 10 o'clock, and if you want to walk, you're there. And if you don't want to walk, you don't go.
Yes, it's really laid back, and
Yes.
it's the social aspect is really important. People can get very lonely, and around Christmas time too, people can get very lonely.
Yes, they can. And I was thinking when I was some of the things I missed after finishing work were some of the social aspects. The little Christmas morning teas that we would have and things like that. The things that we would have on Cup Day, because universities don't get Cup Day as a holiday, so there would be or something. And U3A feels that need as well. If you were in 6 classes, you could go to 6 Christmas parties if you wanted to. Activities, I suspect. There was the week before, I think it was the 8th of December. We had 3 breakup functions in the hall at Beaumaris on the same day. We had one from lunchtime. The very large exercise class came down, 4 o'clock for drinks, and then our wine appreciation group. For Christmas, they always bring along a meal to share while they're having their celebration, and that's an evening activity. I should mention, we also have things on evenings and some weekend activities, because not all people in the older age group are available school hours on weekdays.
Yes.
Our earliest class starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. Our latest class finishes about 9 or 9:30 at night. And we have a yoga group that meets on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, wonderful. And you have Tai Chi and
Oh,
Qigong and
yes.
all of those. Yes, you have plenty of there's plenty to
And
choose from.
we have
So
the
of all the classes, which is your most favorite that you love to attend?
I enjoy attending the Wednesday morning creative conversations, which is
Right.
I attend as a participant, which is ladies who do craft, if you like. Lots of ladies who do beautiful patchwork and fabulous embroidery, knitting and crochet. I have been knitting the same blanket all year this year,
Wonderful.
but it's a lovely group
Right.
and
And
very friendly and
you've
welcoming.
organized lots of art exhibitions and that for U3A too, haven't you?
I haven't organised them, but we have had a number. Yes, we had one this year as well. It's really good to showcase the things that people at U3A have done. And what I noticed in particular, because it was our third art exhibition this year, and we hadn't had one for 3 years, and I could see one person in particular who's been in that group the whole time, and had I don't think she had done any painting or craft work before, and the things that she had on display this year was stunning. The progression
Right.
in her work and in some other people's work is extraordinary.
Wow. And where was that exhibition this time?
That was at the Brighton Courthouse on
Oh,
the
yes, yes.
1st of
Yeah.
October, I think it was.
Right. Yeah, no, I didn't get to go to that one.
No, we had this year was our 10th anniversary of the day
Wow.
we were incorporated. So we had our 10th anniversary lunch at Brighton Town Hall.
Wonderful.
A lovely day. And that was, yes, and it was the week after the art exhibition. Bayside Council during Seniors Month in October usually has some kind of expo, and they had it at the town hall this year so they could showcase the precinct. The town hall had small stalls from many groups with 20 or 30 groups that have activities for seniors in Bayside, from the Flying Doctor Service to the libraries to U3A. And then there was an entertainer on in the town hall as well. The council always puts on there was nice free coffee. The CWA was giving you a biscuit or a scone. And we had our art exhibition in the courthouse. The library had some activities going, especially that day, and the gallery had some activities. So it was the whole precinct was showcasing itself, because Brighton Courthouse is in beautiful gardens in Carpenter Street, Brighton. And as well, there is the heritage listed town hall, and then the Brighton Library, which used to be, well, still is the council chamber, as well as the Brighton Library.
Right.
Council meets there, and there's a circular bit where the council meets. And it's
Yes. I think when we have the seniors week, it's quite an exceptional event, isn't it, for people? There's so many things available for
oh yes,
people.
if you look up well because it's statewide, run through, I guess, I don't know which department it is in the state government, but it's the same person who organises it. We've been involved for 7 or 8 years, and it's been the same person organising it each year. And I think now he may be semi-retired and just come back to organise the Seniors Month function.
Right. Right.
And so any group can be involved, and it's a way to showcase yourself. I wouldn't say we get brand new members signing up, but we need to be there, because people need to know that we're there, and we're a good place to come and a friendly place. And Bayside is a great place with lots of activities.
Yeah.
But statewide, and usually in August or September, you can pick up a booklet in Coles supermarkets, it used to be in the past, about what events are on.
Right. That's great.
Or Seniors Month. And it's also all available online.
That's right. Wonderful. Now, did you say that you were involved in the retirement industry? Or
No, I'm not in the retirement industry. I belong to a group called the Association for Independent Retirees, AIR.
Right.
And I belong to the Melbourne Southern group, which is, well, it used to be called Bayside Glen Ira, but it really covers anybody in effect in the southern suburbs of Melbourne and the Bayside suburbs if they want to join. And it's a smallish group but very enthusiastic, that meets once a month at Caulfield RSL.
Right.
And it's for people who are self-funded or partially self-funded retirees.
Right.
So they meet once a month for a meeting, and they have a guest speaker, and the speaker might be someone speaking about something financial or about something else that older people are interested in. The last meeting was a chap came and talked about producing and putting on musicals, because that does. And that was really, and he was talking about musicals that he's been involved in, and things that productions that are coming up. We have local politicians come and speak. And then in between, there is a group that just gets together for coffee and a chat. And the group will try, as a national body, to lobby the federal and state governments to improve the lot of retirees, if you like.
That's a good idea, isn't it? That's always a good idea.
And they're always looking for new members, and they're a friendly group. It's a different sort of group than U3A, and I'm the treasurer. I've never been treasurer of anything in my life, but we've got about 50 members, so it's not too difficult to be treasurer.
And you enjoy that. You enjoy just being there with people.
Oh, well, that's another social outlet.
Yeah.
And it's a human contact. I went again. I saw something in the local paper when I first retired, and there still was a local paper. I saw something about in the What's On, so I went along, and I think I went twice, and then I thought, oh, I'm not sure it's for me. But the person who was the president at the time rang me up a couple of months later to have a chat and see why I wasn't coming anymore. And she was so nice that I joined.
Oh, wonderful. And you've loved it ever since.
It's been good, yes.
Yeah.
I sometimes I think I'm the exception to the rule in some of my views, but that's fine.
Well, everybody has got valid.
Everybody has different views.
Exactly.
But that's the way that it is. But it's another outing that I enjoy, and it actually has been an interesting effort having to be the treasurer just to manage to get a financial statement at the end of the year and to get it to balance. This year it balanced it for the first time ever. It balanced the first time.
You must have been happy about that.
Yeah. Well, it's such a small club that it was doing everything manually, and I put it into a spreadsheet. So of course all the numbers just add up at the bottom of the spreadsheet.
Yeah, yeah. You've got all that technical knowledge and all that sort of thing. Like you've got all your background being at uni and things like that, haven't you? And
a little bit, yes.
Good stead.
Before I did the IT stuff, I was a librarian.
Right.
I always joke that I was a real librarian, the kind of librarian that sits behind the desk.
Right.
3 weeks. And then I ran the computers in the library. So it was sort of, but I worked in the library for 15 years.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's not an easy job, I don't think, cataloguing all those books and things.
Oh, see, I didn't do that. I ran the systems that let them catalog the stuff. So, but I have, no, that's not true. The only time I ever catalogued anything was in librarianship class when I had to do it. But yeah, you get the idea. It's not an easy job, but all of those books, I won't go on for this for too long, because one of the things that doesn't make my heart sing is computers and databases, and almost nobody in the world is interested in those things. But you get a book and you see the record in the library in the catalogue. That's only ever catalogued once. Someone catalogues that book, puts it into a central database, and other people pay a couple of dollars to use it.
Yeah, right. Are you doing any courses on helping people who are getting into small business, particularly retirees or pensioners?
No, that's bordering on the financial.
Right.
Our financial story. We, for the last 7 or 8 years, have shied away from anything financial, because for a couple of years we had two classes, basic sort of introduction to finance, introduction to looking after your finances as a retired person. And the two people who were running those classes had a very big and very public clash when we were out for a Christmas lunch. So we decided perhaps we wouldn't do that again. No one has thought to offer that. I know, well, I kind of know why you might be thinking about it, because I at one stage I thought I might run a small business when I was a retired person, but I'm not. But I can see that that's another way that you keep yourself interested and occupied, and you make a little bit of money as well.
Yes, yes. And it's like you said earlier in the piece at the very beginning, you said about keeping your mind alert and,
Yes. Yeah.
you're not going into dementia or, because you're keeping that plasticity going in your brain
Well, yeah.
as it doing something.
So many people are in effect living so much longer. And we have this life that is a retired life or a semi-retired life that we didn't have previously. But it looks like the next generation is going to have to continue working in some form or other for much longer than my generation might have had to.
Yes, yes, because yeah, we can see how it's going with, as people it's like the demographic of older people and younger people has changed so considerably. There's so many different ideas that the younger people have about working or what they've got to think about, for when they retire.
Yes.
Because at that stage, who knows what's going to happen with pensions
And
and like that.
who's going to say that being completely retired is the best and most healthy way to live, actually? In some ways, as you say, you're keeping your brain going. Work provides, not only does it provide money, it provides in some cases stimulation, and if nothing else, it provides a lot of social contact.
Yes.
Was it Apollo Bay where the cafe was having trouble, so they put something out? Any senior who wants to come and work at least one day a fortnight, come and talk to us. And now,
Yes, I think it might have been.
yes, you got a cafe fully staffed of presumably
And they love it.
Yes.
It was on TV. They absolutely loved it because, I mean, the older generation have got so much to offer,
Yes.
and the younger generation often they just don't want to be put in a situation there where they could work in a cafe because,
Well, no, but we older people, most of them don't want to work 40 hours a week, do they?
yes, no, well, that's
And
true.
I'm not sure that I could manage it anymore.
No, that's true.
There comes a point. This is another anecdote, but I know of someone who had a high-powered job in a large Australian retail company. We're talking very senior management.
Right.
And retired, and after a few months realised that, well, retirement perhaps wasn't all it was cracked up to be, and applied to the system, works a couple of days a week as a checkout chick.
Yeah.
Because why not? It's not hard work.
Yeah.
There she's working and she's interacting with people.
Yes, and that makes such a difference. I mean, that personal interaction is wonderful, and being able to speak with the younger generation and give them the benefit
and
of your
being able to work with them as well.
Yes.
You don't get you stop being isolated in a bubble of just mixing with people that are exactly the same as you are.
Yes, exactly. That's right. It gives you a whole new, fresh aspect on life, doesn't it?
And it's interesting because something like working at a checkout, all you're doing is smiling and saying hello to people. But even that is social interaction.
Yeah.
If you went through a day or a week and didn't say hello to anyone.
Yeah, exactly. And some of those young people on the checkouts, I mean, it's so nice. They're so pleasant, and the older people who have been working on that sort of thing for years, there's nothing demeaning about it.
Our local supermarket, the one that's nearest to me, when we moved here shortly after that, it must have opened in the 1980s. And there was a lady there who'd worked there for the 30 years since it opened, and she's still there.
Wow.
There's she's an old lady, and there's another older lady who's been working on the checkout the entire time I've lived here, which is now 11 years.
Wow. It's amazing, isn't it? And you get to know the people and their faces, and they get to know you, because local is local. Even in a big shopping center like
Yes.
Southland, I mean, that's quite personal, and they're very pleasant and they're very social. A lot of the people who work there, it's not like it's very sterile or anything like that.
No, well, I imagine this is the time that all the students work in retail as well.
Yes,
During the, shall we put it, except in the Christmas season and some other peak times, you're more likely to be at Southland in what we might call the off-peak times,
yes,
aren't you? And so you're seeing permanent staff, regular staff, and they're seeing you regularly. You do get to know people that you see.
yeah, of course you do. Yes, yes. Yes, and it's very pleasant. You don't get people who are offensive. They're all very pleasant and they're very accommodating. And like you say, they get to know you there, when you shop regularly, because
Yes.
we all have our regular haunts where we like to shop. And so yeah. So have we ever done anything actually in the shopping center about with Southland with you?
No, because well, part of Southland's in Bay. No, none of Southland's in. I don't think any of Bayside finishes at the railway line. I don't think Southland's in Bayside.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that side of Southland is in Bayside, but in Cheltenham, when the railway line goes through, up to the railway line is the city of Bayside.
Yes.
Primary school is in Bayside, but the other side, the shops on the other side, are in Kingston.
That's right. Well, one side of our street is Bayside, and the other side of the other street is Kingston.
Yeah.
One side of the road is Kingston, the other side of the road is Bayside.
So the Southland Railway Station, the residents who were annoyed by it are in Bayside, but the station itself, I expect, is in Kingston.
Right.
Bayside Council used to always, they'd prattle on about how they didn't have $1 million rates paying client like Southland, because Southland pays a lot of rates, I assume, to Kingston Council.
Right.
But, we've tried to be involved in local festival and fairs and things, if you like.
Yeah.
So we time to time attend farmers markets and put up our little marquee and try and hand out brochures to people. We used to be at the Sandringham Village Fair. We've been at the concourse when they had their car shows. So that's a matter of finding volunteers as much as anything. And you have not exactly pushy, but you have to be pleasant and a little bit assertive to get people to listen to you. And again, it's an awareness thing.
Yeah.
It's that people coming up to retirement are aware, people who might be a bit lonely are aware, and their children and their kids are aware that this is an activity that they might be able to recommend.
That's right. Right. Yes. Yeah. And so what do you foresee yourself doing? Have you got any future plans about, concerning U3A or something that you want to do personally?
I'd like to be able to travel again, wouldn't that?
Yes.
Nice. I have it's a cliche. I have had for the last 3 years, it'll be the 4th year this next year if I get to go, one of the classic European river cruise booked.
Right.
And each year it's had to cancel, or this year it was cancelled because I booked in those river cruise boats.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
One single cabin. I'm a single person, so I have booked this single cabin in this river cruise boat.
Right.
Because but I wanted to do it with a tour as well of Eastern Europe. Like it started off and goes to Berlin and Warsaw and Wrocław and Prague, places I've never been, but I'm not sure I'm confident enough to go there by myself without a tour group.
Right, right.
So I would really like to be able to go on this trip.
Right.
I really would. And I'm hoping that in September next year, I might get to go.
Yes, yes. Have you thought about organizing a travel group with the members of U3A?
We talk about that constantly, because a couple of the activities I'm involved in, we look at art history
Mm.
and also history or archaeology in general. So we've just been through 24 sessions on cathedrals in Europe.
Right.
Oh, wouldn't it be fabulous? And you need to spend a day here and a half a dozen cathedrals on the outskirts of Paris that we could go and visit. And then there were the art lectures. You'd think, oh, we could spend, sort of weeks in Italy or something. It'd be the grand U3A tour, and we may never come home again if we did that. That's, I have a suspicion that actually organising a tour is a fairly complex thing.
Yes, I should imagine it would be. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm very the first overseas trip that I ever had was after I was well, the first overseas holiday I had was after I retired. And I went through a group that had actually started through U3As and is promoted through U3As and was most of the people there were members of various U3As.
Right.
So it was an interesting tour, and it was a little more in depth and academic than some of the other organised tours I've been on.
Right.
The
Right.
things that you went to see. I mean, you're going to England, and so you're seeing lots of castles and lots of museums. But I like those things.
Yes, yes, yes.
I could, and now I've listen to this man talk about cathedrals. I could spend a day in any cathedral and be wowed by things that I'd never even noticed the first time I went.
Yeah. My husband and I went to Paris about 5 or 6 years ago, and we went to the where Montmartre is,
Yes.
and there's the I think it was a Sacre-Cœur College, a cathedral, and that was
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
Mm.
And we went to the other one that's quite famous. I think is it the Notre Dame or
Notre Dame. I went to Notre Dame, and I went in Paris too. I only found it by accident. Sometimes the places you find by accident are the best places. Another church on the same island as Notre Dame called Saint-Chapelle. And
right.
It was magic, and I was just
Yeah,
enchanted.
you feel the energy, the difference from one place to the other. We went a few times to Sacre-Cœur, and that was beautiful. You climbing up the big steps on the hill, and there's this incredible cathedral.
I find I'm not a religious person, but many of those spaces are spiritual.
Yes.
Something about them. I go in and I light a candle for my mother. She's not a religious person. I'm not a religious person.
Right.
It's just a feeling you have in those spaces.
Yes.
And one of the most magical, I think it was Salisbury Cathedral, and the choir was rehearsing. Oh, it was glorious.
Now, talking of choirs, you've got choirs as well, singing choirs
There is a singing group which, in conjunction with another group called, it's a Bayside Community Choir.
Right.
Kind of what it's morphing into. We're always happy as a U3A to work with any other community group.
Right.
Because it benefits all of us.
Of course, yes.
So your arrangement with the RSL is really good.
Yes, yes. Yes, the RSL is very good. Yeah.
They're very good to us through
excuse me.
And through our Friday night drinks that we have there on Happy Hour once a month.
Yeah. Is that at Hampton as well?
Yes.
All right, right.
Independent of you, another member is sussed that out, and we go there for a regular happy hour the last Friday of the month.
And
sometimes people stay up for dinner.
You do a lot of card games and things like that too, don't you? Bridge and
there's a couple of bridge groups, and there's 500, and then there's Scrabble, Rummikub, and quite a lot of mahjong. Not a mahjong person myself, but the people that go seem to really love it.
Yeah, it's I believe it's quite tricky. It's not like playing, when you play cards and you're matching the cards, like the kids get cards and they have them in pairs. It's a bit like that. Like if you're doing mahjong on your phone or something like that, that's what it's
It's not
like.
like that. It's not like that.
No,
I think,
I
I
think
think
there's
it's
quite
more
enough
like
to it.
playing gin rummy and getting gin. You have the tiles and you have to have certain sets or something.
Yes.
But there's Eastern Mahjong and Western Mahjong.
Oh,
And
is it?
we have three Western Mahjong groups, three groups where people play the Western style. And there's a book written about the hands and things that people have. And the Eastern style Mahjong, um, one of our members teaches it
Oh,
and
really?
really like it. They go to Hampton Bowls Club on a Monday afternoon and play there.
And so it's more like strategy, isn't it?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I might think about that one
It's it's
because I'd
it's
like to
nothing
learn.
it's nothing like that the online game.
Yes,
You've
yes,
ever watched Crazy Rich Asians? At one set
yes, yes.
play proper mahjong.
Yeah, yeah,
It's quite
yeah.
a serious thing when they
That
sit.
was an amazing movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a fun movie, my goodness me. But that you saw the other aspect of mahjong, that people play.
Well, they were taking it quite seriously. That was yeah.
Yes, it's
I'm not sure how it works, but as I said, that's how that looks a lot more like the mahjong that our members play.
yeah, yeah. I think it's a strategic thing. It's like the game of war, but they use that sort of um technique, whatever they use in that training. So yeah, that sounds really interesting actually.
And we have our chess group, which has been going since we began, with the same tutor with a couple of helpers. And Suzanne, who takes our chess group, also writes crime fiction.
Oh, right.
A novel published a couple of years ago, and I think she's looking to get a second one published.
And you have a writers group as well?
We have more than one writers group now. We have that what we call the Bayside U3 writers group, and then we have another couple of things called Writing for Fun, and another one Writing for Wellbeing. So lots of people are writing things.
Yeah, wonderful. Writing for well-being, that's interesting. What does that entail?
Um, I'm not 100% certain. I think it's a mixture of actual reading things that you enjoy, and writing. I assume about yourself. I've never really inquired greatly. That's the name of the class, and it's new class this term.
Maybe it's something like journaling or something like
Yeah,
that.
I suspect it is. When we had a class and we called it journaling, nobody wanted to come. When we call another class very similar, writing for well-being,
Right.
nice little group that goes.
Yes, right.
Sometimes it's not all in the name, but it's interesting that the name or the description will attract sometimes more people.
Yes, yes, exactly.
And an exercise-based class, one of the few that didn't have particularly many members, the focus was changed slightly, and now we're turning them away.
Mm, very good. Yeah.
I'm looking at the calligraphy behind you.
Yes, this calligraphy. This is because this is part of my studies, and
Yeah.
that calligraphy is called Dao Xin, and which means Dao love. So it's all about, I'm into, the frequency and vibration, changing the frequency and vibration of people's lives, and you can do that with tracing calligraphy. And this one is called Greatest Love, actually, Greatest Love. This symbol here in Chinese is greatest,
Mm-hmm.
and this symbol here is love. And I always say to my students, because I teach a little bit of that.
You've lost your seat.
It's my thing, yes. And I just remind people that love melts all blockages, which it does. Like if somebody is feeling loved, then they're less likely to be negative about themselves or dwell on negativity all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because love melts all blockages.
I just, on a different note, I wanted to talk briefly about the things that I volunteered with through the council.
Yes.
I the first volunteer thing I did after I retired was Meals on Wheels, delivering meals
All right.
to the council. I found that very satisfying.
Because you're visiting people. I've lost your sound. I've just lost your sound. Yeah, I can't hear a thing you're saying now.
I don't know what to do about that.
It just came back.
Okay. Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable. You know that.
Oh, okay. Right.
What I was saying was I did Meals on Wheels and I found it very satisfying, but the council has stopped.
Oh, that's a shame.
The thing, they contracted it out again to some company. The people get a similar service, but it doesn't involve volunteers.
Right.
I have volunteered in the library until the lockdowns, and then that's changed. But it's a volunteer role. Council has a number of what they call reference groups.
Right.
I'm a member of the Healthy Aging Reference Group, which is a group of 20 or 30 older people that meet several times a year and talk to council staff.
Right.
The ones in the arts and culture and youth and so tourism, retail, various things.
Yeah.
And that's quite good. I'm not involved. They have a lot of environmental type volunteering, foreshore groups.
Right.
Shore groups. And that's probably the main one. And I was really pleased. I didn't know when I retired, I didn't know all of the sorts of things that were available. And I had no idea things that the council did. But I'm going to give Bayside Council one little plug. You may have noticed in the news talk about how councils have been getting out of services they provided to aged people. And the council sells the service to some commercial thing and people aren't getting the service they got before.
Yes, yes.
Bayside Council became an accredited aged care provider. And so they provide service, continue to provide services in the
Oh, that's wonderful, yes. Isn't it? Yes. Yeah. And is that voluntary as well?
No, it's not a voluntary thing. But I feel that it's good that the council does that rather than
yes, because the age
contracting it out to some group.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, well, I'm glad you mentioned that because there are some very unfortunate people who are very, very lonely and do need help. Yeah. And it's really important that the community comes together and helps people like that.
The library has a few activities with volunteers. They have a book delivery service where volunteers deliver books to people who are housebound.
Right.
A bit of a chat with them. When I used to deliver Meals on Wheels, I might have had between 10 and 20 meals that I had to deliver. So you only had a couple of minutes with each person.
Of course.
The book one, they only have 2 or 3 people that they deliver to in their time. He also runs various book chat groups, I believe, at aged care facilities. Excuse me.
Right. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Something else you can volunteer in Bayside. We have active historical societies. I'm a member of the Historical Society, but I don't volunteer there. I attend the meetings, and that's about it.
And what does that involve?
Well, a number of people help out at the Historical Society. One of the things it involves is cataloguing. A bit busy. You don't just catalogue books; you can catalogue historical objects.
Oh.
Log them all into a database so that people can look them up.
Right.
We have a few members who do that.
That's wonderful.
Gay members who do that.
So the beyond retirement, people just think, oh, I may have been just retired or I've got laid off or something like that. My life is over. So what would you say to people like that?
Oh, I don't think it's over. I think you have to find the balance of the things that you like and enjoy. And I've got plenty of time. My grandchildren are all at school now. When they were small, I was spending 1 day a week or something minding grandchildren because my personal belief is that small children should spend more time with family than they spend in childcare. So that meant that I needed to stump up some time to mind the grandchildren, because otherwise they'd be in care all the time.
Yeah. And in the Chinese tradition, children make more difference to grandparents make more difference to children sometimes than the parents do.
Yes.
That's part of teaching
Well,
because of wisdom.
and children brighten up your life. Small children brighten up your life. So all those activities they have now, where they're bringing together children and people in nursing homes, I think that's brilliant, because it really does brighten their life.
Yeah, absolutely. And children learn about people, who are older, and often they form relationships with them. Like they might feel, because they might not have a grandparent themselves. Some children don't.
No, and sometimes the grandparents are a long way away.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes the older adults don't have many visitors either. So to have some children come and visit and form a relationship.
That's wonderful, isn't it? And that really would make your heart sing too.
I think it would.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful.
And my heart sings just when I go along Beach Road, walking or driving. I like the bay. I love the bay in any weather, in any situation. I'm one of those idiots on the cliff top in a raincoat on the stormy, windy day.
Watching all the nature. Yes, I love
Oh,
nature.
watching nature, watching ships. We have an app on the phone and you can see what that ship is and where it's been or where it's going.
Oh, really? Really? Oh, wow.
Because the bay is different every day.
Yes, it is. It is. I had a couple of friends who lived down at Ocean Grove, and they used to watch the ships going in and out, because the friend's husband was used to be involved in like cargo and knowing what cargo they were carrying and things like that. He used to be in that shipping industry, so it's a great interest. It was a great interest for him too.
Yeah, and I found even the walking the dogs and going down to the dog beach at Hampton, and what was or wasn't going on at the yacht club every day was different as well. It's little things like that you have time to notice when you
and appreciate.
Might not have appreciated when I didn't have as much time.
Yeah, because when you're younger, you've got so many other things that are going on in your head, which is current for the younger people, and they often miss a lot of things that are current for life as life goes on, don't they?
Yeah, we used to have this thing. There's in the yacht club, there's one berth that is for the yachts that are for sale.
Right.
Like to go down and look up the yachts that's for sale and imagine I've got the $1 million. I
don't think I'd be a very good sailor.
I used to sail a lot on small boats when I was young.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But this is just one of those little dreams, and you look at it and you go, send photos to one of my kids. This one's only 700,000. I don't think I'm ever going to get one, but it's a nice dream.
Oh, well, you can dream, can't you?
Yeah.
Well, Sue, we've run out of time, so it's been a great pleasure chatting, and I'm sure that our listeners, because I record this and I post it on our different Facebook pages, people will be aware of what we offer and with U3A and what a joy it brings to everybody's life, and retirement and volunteering is so rewarding. And so I've really enjoyed our chat today.
It's been fun. Thanks, Nivedita.
It has been fun. And that's what life's all about, is having fun and knowing that love melts all blockages. So the more we love each other, then the better it is.
Okay. Thanks, Nivedita.
Thank you, Sue. And we'll speak again soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.